The board met in closed session this evening and no action was taken. So we can call our meeting to order. Reconvening to our public session. Do we have Pledge of Allegiance on Zoom? I can't hear you.
If you want, you can say it as a formality. I think it's patriotic.
Okay, I just didn't know what, if you didn't have a flag in front of you, what the rules were. But please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sophia,
Put your speakers on.
I might also recommend maybe we state for the record the date and the nature of this board meeting, just for the record as well in the video.
Sure, we can do that. So today is the governing board meeting of Cabrillo Unified School District on April 16, 2020. Thank you, Sophia. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In terms of approval of agenda, I know we have a number of items that we're going to go into more detail on this evening, and my recommendation would be to move items 13A through G to the end. These are the textbook conversations, and that way we can talk about some of the other expenditures earlier in the evening, because we do have quite a lengthy meeting tonight.
We have a motion to modify the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second? Can I second?
Did you move?
I moved.
So Freya moved.
This is Sophia's second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And just point of order, I just want to pause and check in to see. I don't see if we have Lizette on the phone. Maybe I'll ask if Rosie, could you follow up to make sure she has, because I know she's dialing in, not video conferencing. Maybe she's not having any technical difficulties, if that's okay.
Check in the public and see if she's there. But no, she's not there.
Also, just checking in, are members of the public on mute right now by default, or is that direction we need to give folks?
Let me see if I can get Lizette.
Clarifying something. I said
She's on the public says, but I cannot see her.
yes, she is listening.
But she can't speak then. Is that correct?
That's what she's saying.
Okay, let me.
All public has been muted for the board meeting, and
Right.
the questions were turned in. If you want, I can unmute her.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be great.
Oh, she's joining through phone. That's why.
Hi, Lizette. Can you hear us?
Yes, now I can. I don't have a computer. I just have a phone. So
Fine.
I don't have a Chromebook. I don't have anything. That's why I can't do it through my little Chromebook.
We can hear you now, and that's much appreciated. So thank you. Thanks, Randy.
I think it
Thank
might be,
you.
just as a point of order, I think it might be important for people to know that we have muted participants only to address Zoom security issues. Is that right, Mr. Rudolph?
Yes, that's correct.
So to avoid security issues, and we hope that there's no Zoom bombing or anything like that, that is why we've taken this format. And I just want to say that I am grateful to the board and to staff and to the participants, the public, for understanding our need to have this meeting remotely and also to have this type of security and for putting your questions in writing, which is the standard now for how many districts are doing this.
Thank you very much.
Remind the public that we also have the form that is posted online for comments. So if you go to our website, it's under agenda and there's a link for comments there.
Thank you so much, Rosie. My understanding is right now we don't have open public comments that have been entered. Is that correct so far?
Yes, the comments we have are for item 13N.
13N. Okay, thank you. So with no comments that were not related to agenda items, we will go on to our employee organization reports. Do we have CUTA this evening?
CUTA will now do a report tonight.
Thank you. Do we have CSEA to provide a report?
They didn't confirm and I don't see them online.
Thank you so much. So we have board member reports. Lizette, would you like to speak first?
I'll go at the end if that's okay.
Okay. Freya, would you like to go first?
Sure, I can go ahead. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our teachers and our staff and our administration for the work that we're doing in these unprecedented times. A special thank you to all of our food providers who are providing food to those that need it. I think that that's a really, really important service, and I really, really appreciate the hard work that's going on there. I just want to say to all of our teachers, staff, students, I hope everybody is staying healthy, and I guess I mean that on a physical level, but also on an emotional level, because these are hard times, again, unprecedented for our lifetime, and I know that they're impacting everybody in different ways and at different times. So, and just, you know, for me, the environmental committee that I'd hope to start, I'm hoping to start in the fall when we're all back together. I'd planned a big event for this coming, well, it would have been big, who knows, it might have been really small, but you know, the kickoff of the committee on Monday, but there won't be much Earth Day activities. There won't be much meetings and other things happening for a while. So we're all adjusting to that new normal. I'm very glad that I got to visit all the school sites, except for unfortunately Pilarcitos, prior to the shutdown. The remote learning. And again, I just want to say to everybody, thank you for all your hard work. And I'm hoping that as we move forward, and I keep talking about this just on an individual level, finding those silver linings and things, and hopefully we'll learn things about remote learning. We'll prepare for other times in the future through other disasters or other things that happen where we can utilize this, or even our everyday time. Maybe we'll find ways of educating in slightly different ways that are more effective for certain people. And so I just want to, you know, think positive as we move forward in all of this to kind of what our lessons are that we can learn, how we can improve in general, and come out of all of this stronger. So thank you to everybody for all your hard work, and Sean for your leadership in this time.
Thank you, Freya. Mary Beth?
Yeah, I mean, I basically was going to mirror what Freya said. I agree, and I think it is a great time to be looking at silver linings because, you know, it is terrible what's happening, but everyone is really pulling together, and it's great to see that. And I'm a big fan of using technology in new ways, in ways that can help our kids. So I think it's, you know, it's kind of, you know, that's the silver lining part of this too, is that teachers are learning more about technology and how it might be helpful, as well as the kids, and they're learning how to do it and use different things. So if we're gonna, you know, be in this terrible situation, we might as well have something good come out of it as well. So that's all I had.
Thanks, Mary Beth. Sophia?
All right, just let me know if you can't hear me and I can go back to my image. It's good? Okay, good. Yeah, we're here. This is crazy. Who would have thought we'd be doing board meetings by Zoom these crazy times? But I can't just say how much I've been impressed by the collaboration and the leadership that has come together in our community, both from, you know, within our schools and with the families outside of our schools and our partners to really band together and, you know, band that adage of we are stronger together, and really seeing through and some of us dire. So being able to focus particularly on those situations in our schools and with our families, and you know, perhaps beyond, that are really of the need. And I know there were a lot of concerns about closing schools, you know, because of these kids that we know that had schools their safe zone. So I appreciate the undying love and support that our teachers, staff, families have provided, not only those students, but each other, to just, you know, make it all work for everybody. So we will get through this. It's probably not going to be, you know, of course, as quickly resolved. But I do think sometimes we have these crises. They are opportunities for transformational change that will help us realize opportunities perhaps, you know, maybe we couldn't have seen before. And that's sometimes hard to do initially, but I feel the vibe among many in our community that it's to see that, you know, we need to and all our students in a way that really is going to help. So that's all. Thank you to everybody who's making a difference every day.
Thank you, Sophia. I'll jump in, and similar sentiments to everyone else. This is a difficult time. I think it's really important that we're gentle with one another. I've had a number of conversations with parents, and especially in those first couple of weeks when it was a little difficult to figure out what to gauge in terms of expectations. I know our teachers are working really, really hard. They were not, all the professional development wasn't laid out for them at the last summer to prepare for distance learning and to do all of the heavy lifting, last minute notice that was required. And I had a friend in Arkansas, and we bantered a little bit, and I thought, oh, I'll help do some research online. And there's a tremendous amount to help teachers online. However, it takes enormous energy to sift through all the pieces that look like they might be useful, and then you find it's not what they need. So I look forward tonight to hear about the new textbooks. I was delighted to see so many online components of what our teachers have already selected. So I'm looking forward to that this evening. But just hold everyone gently. I'm on week 6 of mandatory telework. We've had COVID-19 cases at work. I've got friends whose family members are hospitalized, and one of my employees had a cousin that passed away in India. So the reality is it's hitting closer to home than we realize, and to people that we work with and care about. So please be very gentle and make space for people to figure this out as we go along. That would be my ask. Thank you. And Lizette, your comments?
I think I also want to echo what most of you have said, and thank everybody who's trying to figure this out without, you know, no outline, no previous experience or knowledge of what to do in these kind of situations. On a personal level, I've been struggling tremendously. I just want to thank everybody.
Oh. Thank you, Lizette. Okay. Lauren, do you have a student board member report tonight?
Yeah, I have a few updates from 3 schools since there isn't much to report. So at Cunha, teachers are working hard to design good remote learning activities, creating videos, and holding Zoom meetings, all in an effort to keep students engaged. Our student leadership officers have been producing weekly announcement videos, which we sent out to all the students and post on the Cunha website. The videos are cute, and we keep on celebrating our students' birthdays. Cunha has office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 2 when students and families can check out books and Chromebooks, turn in and pick up work, and ask for help with problems. We love to hear from students and parents, and Mr. Barnes will keep on sending out updates and videos too. At Half Moon Bay High School is working hard to stay connected through these tough times. We have uploaded many videos to the CUSD YouTube channel and the H&B Leadership Instagram page to keep the community in touch and entertained. Some of the videos you can watch include Mr. Nazar's weekly report, fun videos put together by our teachers while they shelter in place. Like today I learned how to cook Swedish meatballs with Mr. Olson. A new series called The Quarantine Diaries produced by our very own leadership students, and the Cougar Campus News has returned. Teachers and students are communicating through School Loop, video classes / office hours via Zoom, email, Google Classroom, and more. HMBHS would like to stress the fact that besides for the office being open 10 to 2 Tuesday and Thursday, the campus is closed. This includes all athletic facilities. So please help continue the progress against the virus by staying close to home and telling others to not use the athletic field. Although many events have been canceled, HMBHS is currently planning ways to give our seniors the celebration and recognition they deserve. Even though they will have to be in a different format this year, our staff is planning the annual department awards, scholarship night, presentation of recognition cords, and of course, the class of 2020's graduation. In order to maintain remote learning opportunities for our students at La Costa Adult School, most teachers have sent out packets for student work, which were mailed to homes 2 weeks ago. This was completed with district and school administrative staff support. Other teachers have maintained communication with their students solely through digital means. Our teachers continue to provide learning experiences to our students in a variety of ways, depending on the instructor's way to deliver and communicate content to students, which includes, but isn't limited to, the following: packets of printed supplemental materials sent to the students' homes, workbooks and other class materials sent home. We have made contact with the majority of students. Some students' contact info has been disconnected or changed. Some students or teachers use Google Hangout or Zoom to conduct class, and regular forms of communication have been used to respond to and or support our students. We will continue to do outreach to our students and maintain communication through the end of the school year as well as the summer, especially as we plan for the upcoming school year that will start at the end of August. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out the Cabrillo Unified School District YouTube page, definitely check that out, because a lot of people are making a good effort to stay connected during these times. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Sean?
Well, at the last board meeting we had, we were just talking about whether or not we would get news about school closure. And I was rather veiled in my comments and rather vague in my comments at that board meeting, because of course we are working with local public actors, public government officials, state government officials, county office, county health doctor, the county health department. And this has been something that we've tried to coordinate from numerous counties. So I want to thank the public for understanding that this requires a lot of work behind the scenes, and we're trying to coordinate that so that we can work most responsibly and work in a way that is in concert with our state, local government actors, and with our San Mateo County Office of Education partners. I've sent a letter home to families, email every week, I think, since we got into this, let folks know and to provide resources. And again, I want to thank those of you who understand that you have questions and I'm not able to answer them, and we try to reiterate that, have principals reiterate and clarify. I know in my last email over spring break, I missed the lead and it didn't come through necessarily that I was giving you a date when we would be ending school through, and it was because I was trying to get that letter out a half hour after we got it from the county offices, the 6 county offices. So I just want to acknowledge that when I hear board members saying that we should take care of one another and support one another, I appreciate that, because I've seen an outpouring of support from families and community members over the last few weeks. And I just want to echo that and mirror that also. Our hearts go out to those who are impacted by the virus. I know personally people who have gotten ill, people who have friends and loved ones who have passed. And this is a time that I think we really need to take care of one another and remember why we're here. There will be many questions going forward. There will be many ambiguities going forward, and we will try to address those. And I just thank everybody for understanding that things are not normal, and we're responding as best we can with the best information we can. That said, I do want to remember and remind the public that you can provide comments that can be written and read to us. And the reason why things are as they are is to try to create some security for the meeting because of the teleconferencing and other meetings that have had problems. But I do want to make some general comments. First of all, I do want to give a great shout out also to our teachers. Remote learning is not like classroom learning. It's nothing that many of us prepared for. And I really just think it is commendable to see how many of our teachers have been able to get online and structure learning in the ways they have, and to learn themselves new ways of doing things. And I want to speak also to our teachers union and to Heidi Mills and Ramon Macias and Sean Reardon, who met with me before we closed to talk about how we would conduct remote learning in those agreements. And I thought that showed astounding partnership. CSEA also, when we met with Stig Lin, showed great partnership and understanding about us coming together and taking on these new roles and new responsibilities. And so I've been very impressed by staff. I know that as a system, entering into remote learning, that we can always improve. Speaking to that, tomorrow my next letter will describe the great work that Leticia Patia and Dr. Wade and so many people have contributed to with our remote learning guide for teachers and a remote learning guide for families. And those are available on our website, but there will be links in the letter tomorrow. And so we hope those resources will help people for families that are trying to provide more enrichment, more options online for kids in the remote learning. That brings me to another subject, which is the digital divide that we see. It is true that everybody, 1,000 districts in the state, are struggling now with the digital divide, and that we have all of us to learn how to adjust to this. Many districts, not many, but some districts have not started remote learning yet. And so again, kudos to our staff for doing that. We did give out surveys a couple of weeks ago. You may have gotten a phone call. We asked, 1, do you have a laptop for your kid or a computer for your student, your child? Or 2, do you have internet access? And now principals and community liaisons and office managers and other support staff will be calling to those who answered 2. I would urge the public, anybody who needs support with technology, to contact your principal because we can check you out a laptop. This will be difficult for us to inventory and get technology out. There is always going to be some kind of internet connectivity issues, because even if we are able to provide hotspots, cell coverage can be difficult, and that can make connectivity difficult also. I do want people to know that we've talked to City, we've talked to Mid-Penn. I have a call tomorrow with other superintendents, with Jackie Spear, Congresswoman Jackie Spear, and we will continue to look at how we can work on this digital divide and making sure that everyone has the tools to the best of our ability for distance learning. I do also want to give kudos also to food service. It's another essential thing. Remote learning is one. Food service is another. And I also want to give a shout out to technology staff. I can't tell you how many staff members behind the scenes, in front of the scenes are working, whether or not it's giving meals, helping people with support if they need it in that way, helping people, our staff with technology support in that way. I just want to acknowledge and commend staff for all they're doing and commend our families also for bearing with us and knowing that we're learning also and trying to adjust to this as a new normal and that we are getting better. Please look forward to that letter tomorrow. I think that will provide you some more resources. And I hope, again, we're all staying safe and healthy at this time, taking care of ourselves socially, emotionally, holding one another, taking care of one another. That ends my comments.
Thank you, Dr. McBettridge, for those words. It is a difficult time. Next on the agenda are the consent items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. I wasn't sure if I heard Lauren or not, but I think we've got 5+1.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll go on. We'll continue on now with 13H.
This item is coming from personnel this evening, and it is a job description that we asked for board approval for the Director of Educational Support Services. The description is included in the packet tonight and is a result of my resignation, which will be in the board packet personnel report next month. But we did want to get the job description approved, and we wanted to make sure that we had your input so we could get the job posted as soon as possible. Happy to answer any questions.
On a personal note, I just want to commend Dr. Wade for the work she has done, leading us forward with special education, with educational support services in the district. I found her to be an amazing thought partner and a thoughtful colleague. And I know that she has helped us make great progress in the district before I came. And certainly during the time I've been superintendent, I am embedded and grateful. And I know many of us feel that way about you, Holly. So Dr. Wade, we congratulate you on your next move and thank you for the service you've provided, and you're irreplaceable, but I do think also that this allows us to create a director position, and I thank you for working with us on that too in preparation. I really can't thank you enough for thinking of us in this process as you make a personal decision to take the next step in your career.
I'd also like to thank you, Dr. Wade, for your service with the district. It's very much appreciated, and thanks for the energy in framing a new director role. Transitions are always difficult, and we hate losing you. And we appreciate that energy in reframing that role, and really respect the district office for thinking about how we can make administrative adjustments to reduce some of the administrative expenses. So we're crossing our fingers and toes that we can get a high quality candidate to fill your shoes. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Next on the agenda, 13I, acceptance of.
Kim, we need motion.
Oh, we need a motion?
Yeah.
To accept it? Is this just a motion and one that's not individual?
No,
You're
yeah. motion and mass
Okay,
vote.
so a motion to approve?
So approved. So moved. So moved.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion passes 5+1.
Thank you again, Dr. Wade.
Sorry, it's a little bit of delay with voices here. So thank you. Next on the agenda, 13I, acceptance of Comcast Business Voice Edge proposal.
This proposal comes to you at replacement of our phone system, which has been in need of attention for a long while. And Randy has done a terrific job in figuring out what would be the best way that we could move into 21st century technology. So the proposal has been forwarded to you for approval and move into better and improve our communication systems. If you have any questions, Randy's online too.
Randy, do you want me to project the presentation?
If the board would so like.
I don't need to see it again from what I saw unless you have anything extra to add that wasn't in the packet. I don't know how others feel.
Not hearing a firm request. I think we've all had a chance to read it. Do we ask questions first or do we need a motion first?
Motion first, I think.
Okay.
The point of order is typically,
Okay, sorry. So do I have a motion to approve this proposal?
So moved.
And a second?
Second, it's Sophia.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. And
Any questions?
All in
now we have
favor?
our questions.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I have one question. I noticed the cost for this particular item, 4.5 thousand per month. What are we paying right now?
We are paying, the thing that it gets us the most is the maintenance that we are doing of this system. We are, anytime that something goes wrong with any of these things, it's at $600 to $1,000. So, and the quality of our communication is not what we would want it to be. And we own this old system. We own it, but it is a very old system.
Okay. Other questions?
I had some questions that I had asked previous, so I just thought I'd clarify them. I'd asked about the cost of the installation. My understanding is that it's covered by bond expenditures. And I'd also asked about reliability and been assured that this significantly increases our reliability in case of emergencies or other situations by creating greater bandwidth between sites and other. So I just wanted to reiterate that, kind of more comments, I guess, at this point.
I did have one.
Oh, I was going to say this, Sophia, and I just would kind of in that vein just appreciate your bringing to us two modernization phones and for the IT machines. And so I think those are, as referenced by Freya, both in a situation and just in general in terms of usability and efficiency for everybody. So, brings us into the modern age as much of the remote learning experience is now. So I think these are really great proposals.
Mary Beth, you had a question?
I just was going to say, Kim, I think when you brought that cost up, were you talking about the copier cost? I don't think we had a cost for the phones included in the system, that's all. The monthly cost, I think that's the copiers.
I thought they each had a cost associated with them. Randy or Jesus?
The cost associated with it is those devices that Randy got us at a $14 per device that is going to be deployed as part of that system.
So let me, if I may, answer this question. The current phone system we have, it's hard to articulate the cost because it's so vast, and we have a system that's called Centrex. It was established in the late 70s, early 80s, and we're charged by each phone line at each site.
Okay.
We have a phone system at each site, but it's more like a concentrator. The new phone system, we have negotiated with Comcast that they will give us all of the phone sets at no charge, of course, installation, training, but most importantly, the reliability between each site and external, no cost for calls, no cost for long distance, it's built in, plus the ability for unified messaging. Staff will receive their voicemail on their through their email, and most importantly, that we have a number of schools that do not have telephones in the classrooms. They have intercoms back to the main office, and for a 911 situation, we felt it was important to put a telephone in each classroom.
Thank you.
And Kim, you are right. I was wrong in what I said. You're right. That was the
Because I added both of those up. So,
yeah. Okay.
and is there anything, given we were in works for planning these before COVID-19, is there anything for distance learning to support our teachers in terms of communications that we might need in addition to our phones and copiers?
What we're currently doing with remote learning is we have different tools for teachers to use. We've just enabled Google Meets, which is video, so the teachers can record their lessons. They can initiate classroom learning from Google Classroom. We also use School Loop. And I think from a communication standpoint to the students and to the parents, we have initiated School Messenger, so we have communications on our website. We have voice communications and messages that we send out periodically to all of the parents and guardians. So I think we're doing a good job of over-communicating so people know exactly where we're at and being very transparent on what we can provide for them.
Thank you very much.
I just want to address this too. It's kind of a bird walk from this agenda item, but going forward, we will look forward to providing more professional development to teachers in remote learning. It's been requested actually, I believe Heidi and Ramon have requested this of Leticia Patia. And I also would say that we have Edgenuity currently as a platform that is used at the high school and the middle school at Pilarcitos. And we will hopefully next year look at if there are other distance learning, or sorry, excuse me, remote learning platforms that we might be able to adopt. And of course, we'd want to use a curriculum advisory committee and a technology advisory committee to look into that. And I would hope that would be our goal going forward. And I think it's one shared by the teachers union.
Thank you.
Quick question. This is Sophia, and I want to turn my video off because I've been having some Wi-Fi issues here. So I will make sure to announce myself also. So from my understanding from reading through this, this is like the hardware for the phones, correct? So Wi-Fi or other internet infrastructure component to this, is that correct? Or does that include the cables and the walls that are also used for internet? And there, from time to time, we've had some internet challenges in our at our sites, which I've assumed were mainly due to broader telecom infrastructure issues on the coast, like how one might throw Comcast out there if one were to name names. Can you speak to that element of the internet data?
Sure. Sure. Let me address a couple of things. I appreciate your comments. This is Comcast Business. This is not Comcast for consumers. So it's a completely different network. It's a different system. It's all fiber optic based. We currently have Comcast between all of our school sites using fiber optics between the sites. The problems that the district has had with internet access in the past, say, 12 months has been attributed to some equipment, network equipment. And I can report as of yesterday, we've replaced and eliminated all of that network equipment that have caused those problems. The reason for the choice for Comcast is because of the technology that they use. We're going to something called VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. However, we're not going to be using our internet connection because it puts additional strain and bandwidth on that. They use a separate connection. Each site will have their own connection. And not only do we have battery backup at each one of our sites in the server room, but Comcast has battery backup at their locations, and they have diverse routing. So we're getting a very robust, solid system, which is not comparable to some of the other VoIP systems you've heard about, like Ring Central or 8x8. They use the actual internet connection, and this is not using the internet connection.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's really helpful and really encouraging to know about the battery backup because, of course, aside from, and I didn't need to pick on Comcast famous for telecom and power outages. So knowing that these phones have a battery backup, I think is really encouraging. And knowing, kind of as an aside, that the internet access issues that we've had over the last 12 months have been, at least in large part, it sounds like, due to equipment that fresh off the press has now been replaced. So it is really exciting to hear. Thank you for all of that, Randy.
I'd just like to commend Randy and Jesus for their work on this. When we came into the district at the beginning of the year, of course, this was a priority, particularly after the lockdown at Fairlawn View, when we realized that some phones were not accessible, did not have outside lines to our classrooms. So I'm just going to point that out. And this goal has actually been realized, considering that Jesus came on just at the end of 2019 and Randy came on at the beginning of 2020. For them to realize this and to look at so many different provider options and to find this one, I just want to commend their work on this.
So are we ready for a vote? All in favor of the Comcast Business Voice Edge proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5+1.
Hey, Kim, this is Sophia. I have a point of order question, and I apologize because I was having earlier. Am I looking at the correct agenda where we have 13A through G, and then we started with 13H? Is that correct?
Correct. So we will, A through G will come after O. That was the first motion we had for
Okay, I was having trouble hearing that part. Okay, so we'll do that after O. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Next on the agenda, 13J, acceptance of Ricoh Copiers lease proposal.
Again, we have a 5-year-old contract with Xerox, and we have 5-year-old machines and equipment. So this is after much research. Randy has worked, and we have found this Ricoh proposal that it is really fits all of our needs and helps us bring our equipment, that photocopying equipment, and into the 21st century. It is the best deal that Randy and I could find, and it is a reliable way of providing copying service along as communication service. These machines no longer are just copiers. They can do a number of wonderful things that would support learning and would help our teachers communicate better with our students by using this media. So Randy has a proposal in front of you. I think it's pretty straightforward. It is, we will be paying less per copy than what we currently have. And we are also making sure that the benefits are beyond photocopying.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the RICO copier's lease proposal?
Motion to approve. This is Sophia.
Do I have a second?
I will second, Mary Beth.
Thank you. Do I have any questions?
No, I just wanted to appreciate that this was going to be costing less for the district than our previous one. And so I wanted to kind of really call that out. And if at some point we can quantify that number, that would be really great in terms of doing analysis of what it was before, maybe is moving forward. And the other comment that I had was in looking at whether or not there was any parts of this that could be covered by the bond as well, which I understand that we're going to be looking into. I wanted to bring that up.
I just had a few questions that I had run by Randy, and I just wanted to bring them up so you all knew the answers too. I had asked about the faxing capability and if we really need that. I mean, talking about 21st century, but apparently there is, they managed to get the fax, and correct me if I'm wrong, Randy or Jesus, but I think it's not costing us any more to have that capability, and also that's a big thing that we use to communicate with the county. And then just to clarify, so everyone knows, it sounds like that monthly fee includes everything but the paper, basically. And then we pay a small fee per cost. Jesus is nodding his head. So I had a question about that because I know the toner and all that's pretty expensive. And you know, it's still shocking to see how much we have to spend on copiers, at least to me, who hadn't seen this one come up yet. But it does sound like they've found a good deal, and I was able to get those additional questions answered, and I just wanted to share that too.
This is Sophia. I just want to also make an appreciative comment just in terms of the additional features. I think as we kind of move from and pencil, we'll always have that to some extent, of course, you know, in physical spaces, but, you know, in particular, as we're looking at more modernization and digitization and flexibility, as well as, again, just kind of modernizing instruction as we continue having machines that can support that is fantastic and better for the environment. We got our triple bottom line, is that right? good for everybody.
Thanks, Sophia. Lizette, I'm just going to check in because I know you're on the phone line, but wanted to know if you had any questions.
No, thank you everybody for sharing your questions. That helps out a lot.
So all in favor of accepting the RICO copier lease proposal, say aye.
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 And so thank you. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5+1.
Thank you, board. Thank you again, Randy and Jesus, for doing this. And again, seeing those copiers burn up right when we're closing schools. This is well overdue and well needed, so thank you.
Next on the agenda is acceptance of enrollment projection consultants additional services proposal. Sean, do you want to talk to that, or is that Jesus?
Jesus can speak to it, but this is the same company that came before to do the preliminary enrollment projections that we had to use for facilities master plan. And update real quick, just for the record, The architects are ready to present to our school communities of Fairmont View and El Granada with plans on those facility master plan updates, and we hope to do that remotely, but we hope to do that in weeks to come, hopefully in April, end of April, beginning of May, and bring that back to the board so you can see those drawings. I think that's very exciting. So this is also part of that work ongoing. This would continue and make a deeper dive into it. We need that for projections going forward to make sure we right-size and we know how to respond for enrollment projections. But Mr. Contreras can speak to it more than I can.
Well, enrollment is going to be very important as we look into our budgeting and in view of where exactly all these changes, see how many of our students are continuing to be in our attendance area. So this study is going to be helping us tremendously with knowing exactly where our students are and what we can expect. So that will be important for us to have and to make sure that we include in our budget a more informed account of what a potential ADA.
So do I have a motion to approve the acceptance of enrollment projection consultant services?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
This is Sophia, I second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? I think the demographic reports really are a tremendous help. So thank you again for lining all of this up. And so let's move into a vote. All in favor of accepting the enrollment projection consultants additional services proposal, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is 13L, acceptance of Skyline Engineering roof condition survey proposal.
As we look into redesigning what our facilities master plan is going to be and getting a good account of what is the status of all of our facilities, this proposal would help us get to know specifically and get to know what parts of our roofs we're going to need some attention and then schedule accordingly and within our means. What is that we're going to be having to do? So it will help us prioritize and also parallel with the development of our facilities master plan so that we can align our actions and our resources to the maintenance of our buildings. So we're bringing this to you and looking into getting to know specifically what our buildings will need.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve acceptance of Skyline Engineering roof condition survey proposal?
So moved. From Mary
I
Beth.
have a second.
A second?
Okay, this is one that I actually had a question and sent in. My question was, because this total for inspecting all the roofs on all of the properties was $44,000. My question was, do we really need to inspect every roof of every building? Some of these are new. Some of these are to be replaced. We know they leak, and are we really going to do repairs on something we're going to tear down? Sean, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, I reached out on this. We can certainly, if you look at the contract, it's negotiable. We can certainly reach out to the contractor and see if some of the roofs we would not have to look at. For example, Cunha, Building C and Building D have new roofs. We have new 20-year warranties on those. They're half a year old. Some of the roofs that we've discussed, certainly that are buildings that will be demolished, assuming that the board and the community are okay with our master plans for El Granada and Fairlawn View, there are several buildings that are way past their usable life, and those roofs, clearly, why would you, replace something that you're going to just tear down? So yes, this is negotiable, but I will say that I recently had this done in my own home, in a building that two people above us in the flats above, we all share one roof, right? So yeah, the roof lasted 17, 18 years, and the roofers came out and they charged us to look at it and give us an estimate, and luckily we didn't have to replace it. But this is a preventative measure. This is about us assessing the health of our roofs, because we do not want our roofs to fail and have water intrusion. So to a certain extent, this is a cost that we think is important to give us an assessment both for modernization of buildings, because that will help with estimation on new construction of modernization, and also to help us with just preventative measures. But I certainly think that we will go back and see if we can remove some of these roofs that clearly are very new and probably have no problem and have warranties for 20 years.
We will do that.
Right, or maybe some kind of compromise where it's kind of like a light review. Right, patch is only a couple years old, but I would be reassured knowing we did a quick once over just to make sure it all looks good. Maybe that's not as intense as a review of building D at the high school, right? Which you have to look into. But maybe I hear your point, Sean. I think that's a good kind of pragmatic, kind of building by building. Maybe some need to.
You got muted.
A deeper dive than others. Oh, sorry, I was done. I think my audio still isn't great, so I apologize for that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I appreciate you fine tuning where we can, because every dollar saved there is something that will actually go into new facilities and not just inspections. So appreciated that attention to detail.
I want to say I appreciate the board being focusing on costs too. This is exactly what you're supposed to be doing, so thank you.
Thanks. All those in favor of accepting the Skyline Engineering Roof Condition Survey proposal, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is 13M, resolution number 10-20, establishing tax rate, and resolution number 11-20, authorizing the issuance and sale of the bonds.
Let me just frame this quickly. This is a very complex matter. Establishing tax rate and authorizing issuance and sales of bonds. And I want to thank our partners who work with us as our bond advisors. And they're actually all-in listeners and attendees tonight. So if there are questions that are way above my expertise, I think Jesus and I would both want to call on them to answer any particular questions. But we do think, just to frame this, this is the way that we would be able to get bond money activated so that we could do those renovations, modernizations without the bond issuance. We would not have the money to do that, and it could set us back after we've made this progress to do the facilities master plan update, get some architectural drawings. We would want to go out to bid for architects and contractors to design and build. But ultimately, you're going to need the money to do that. And so that is why this is being brought. It's also brought because, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So with us are Meredith Johnson and Makiko Sato, and there is a presentation slides that Rosie is getting ready to help us go through. So With that, Randy and Rosie, if you can please allow Mrs. Makiko Sato and Meredith Johnson. Hello, Makiko, are you there? Meredith?
Meredith's there, and I'm allowing Makiko.
Okay.
Just give me a second so I can share my screen so I can project the slides.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you for being here, Meredith. Thank you for being here, Makiko.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
So Meredith and Makiko, just let me know when I should move to the next slide. I have the control. Just give me a second. I'm sharing right now.
So we'll walk through this presentation pretty quickly. So first of all, before we get started, I wanted to thank you and all your counterparts throughout California for all the great work you're doing for our students in a very difficult time. I wanted to make a short presentation tonight because there's a lot of bond documents and it's very complicated. So I wanted to provide some background and some context for what you're approving. So if we go to the next slide, the one after that, you'll see that the district voters have approved 3 different bond authorizations, Measure K in 1996, Measure S in 2012, and Measure M in 2018. There is authorization remaining from both the Measure S and the Measure M authorization. And right now, the district is planning to move forward with the second series of bonds from the Measure M authorization. Let's move to the next slide. So there's 3 main inputs into the bond program model, and I wanted to cover them very quickly. So if we go to the next slide, assessed valuation, that's the tax base value of the district. And we can see that this has been very strong. There was a slight decline during the last market downturn, but really over the last, since 2016, we've seen a very robust growth in the district's tax base value. So that's very helpful for the bond program. On the next slide, one thing that has been affected significantly as a result of the COVID-19 situation is the market. If you look at the table on the right, you'll see that the rates have gone all over the place in March. Initially in early March, rates were actually coming down significantly. And then in mid-March, as shelter in place was put into place, investors really started moving out of the municipal market. They started pulling money out. And you'll see during the week of March 23rd, the municipal market really stopped functioning for a little while as so many investors were pulling money out of the market. Since then, the market has stabilized a little bit. Interest rates have come down a little bit even from March 31st. And from a historical perspective, we still are in a very low interest rate environment. And moving forward to the next slide. This is the Measure M bond program. So for this issuance, we are looking to issue up to 40 million, which is slightly larger than the original financing plan. And that was determined in discussion with the district staff that higher par amount would better meet the district's project needs. And we determined that fits within the financing plan. So the series 2020 bond debt service is represented by the green bars in the middle. So the debt service payments will layer on top of the Series A payments, and will leave capacity for the final series of bonds in a couple of years. All right, so moving forward to the next slide. One other thing I wanted to highlight is that there's 2 methods of sales. The first is the competitive method, where an underwriter is selected at the pricing date, on the pricing date, based on true interest cost only. This type of sale works very well for well-known frequent issuers with easy to understand debt in a stable and solid market. So think of maybe the city and county of San Francisco pricing last year. Right now, a lot of the issuers are shifting over to negotiated sale. That's when you partner up with an underwriter before the pricing, and you work with the underwriter to pre-market the bonds to potential investors.
And this is really helpful in a volatile market since you're able to work with the underwriter and be a little bit more flexible in terms of when you enter into the market, since there's so much change day to day. But this is something that we are leaving open in the resolution to allow for both competitive and negotiated pricing methods. But I did want to mention that there are two options. The district does utilize both pricing options, and we're leaving that flexibility open in the bond resolution. So on the next slide, we have some information regarding the two resolutions that the board will be considering tonight. Meredith, do you want to walk through the two resolutions and give a quick overview of what each of them covers?
Sure. The first resolution that the board is considering is a resolution that is simply asking the county to establish a tax rate for the bonds to be issued. And it's really a matter of timing. Typically sometime in late summer around August, the new assessed value for 2020-21 will be set by the county. And based on that new assessed value, the county will then decide what rate of tax needs to be levied to pay the different jurisdictions within the county where a tax needs to be levied, whether it be to pay bonds or whether it just be the 1% general countywide levy. So because of the timing of the district's bond sale, which may happen sometime in the next few months, we want to make sure that the county is aware that there may be the need to levy taxes to pay for the new bonds. So to make sure the county is aware of it and aware of what the bond, the payments on that bond in 2021 might be, you are being presented with a short resolution that simply says, dear county, we're proposing to issue bonds and we want to make sure you take those bonds into account when you set the tax rates for the upcoming fiscal year. So that's the first resolution. The second resolution, which is the longer resolution, is the resolution which actually would authorize the issuance of the Series B bonds under the 2018 election. It's a very long resolution, but it is fairly standard. It probably looks very similar to the resolution that the board approved back in 2018 for the Series A bonds. It sets forth parameters of the bonds. As Mikiko mentioned, this resolution is a little bit different in that it does allow for either a public sale or a private sale. Excuse me, a public sale or a competitive sale with an underwriter or in the public market. We made that change because the market, as Mikiko mentioned, is somewhat volatile based on what's going on in the world around us. We wanted to make sure the district was able to access the best type of sale possible. It describes certain logistics of the bonds. It talks about the county levying the tax. It establishes a debt service fund for the proceeds of that tax that can then be used to pay bondholders. And it basically goes through the legal requirements that are needed for the district to issue the bonds.
And on the next slide, we detail some of the additional documents that the board will be approving in form. Meredith, I don't.
Right, these documents are approved in the longer issuance resolution. You've been provided with copies of all of them. And they are, the preliminary official statement is actually a marketing document. It's not a legal document. It's provided to potential investors in the bonds to help them make a decision whether they want to invest in Cabrillo Unified School District's bonds. There's a requirement that the information in that preliminary official statement be continually disclosed annually. And that's, the district makes that promise in the continuing disclosure certificate. If a decision is made that the bonds will be sold to an underwriter who will resell them to the public, the district would enter into a bond purchase agreement with that underwriter on the day of the sale. And it contains the terms of the bonds, the principal amounts, the interest rates, the maturity dates in that bond purchase agreement. And then the paying agent agreement is an agreement where a bank agrees to distribute the payments of principal and interest to the owners of the bonds once they've been issued. They're all very standard documents, and they were also a part of the 2018 offering. You may have, actually, one thing I'll point out, you may have noticed that some of the documents have blanks in them. That's because you're approving the current draft form, and they'll be finalized once the terms of the bonds have been determined on the day of pricing.
All right, and on the next slide, I did want to highlight that the resolution has some good faith estimates regarding some statistics on the Series B bonds. To be perfectly honest with you, I calculated these at the beginning of April. So these are probably, hopefully, a little conservative. We're estimating that the true interest cost on the Series B bonds will be a little over 4%, that the finance charge, that's the underwriter fee, and the issuance cost would be around $340,000. That the district will receive a little shy of the $40 million in bonds being issued, and the total repayment amount, that's the total debt service associated with that borrowing, will be about $83.5 million. And then finally, on the last slide is the schedule. So we are requesting the district to approve these resolutions tonight. In May, we will begin the rating process to have a conference call with the rating agencies, namely Moody's. We'll receive the ratings in mid-May. We'll finalize that preliminary official statement, the offering document that Meredith described earlier, and that will allow us to be in the market in June with a closing in June. We are asking the board to also approve that second resolution, requesting the county to potentially levy taxes based on estimated debt service, just in case we're not able to follow this schedule because of the market volatility. But hopefully this schedule will allow us to get the finalized debt service to the county in time for their tax rate setting process. I think that's all for the presentation. Meredith and I can take questions if there are any.
Thank you so much for stepping us through that. I believe we need to ask for, do we have, in this case for the resolution, do we need Q&A first or a motion to approve these two items?
We need motion for each resolution and roll vote.
Thank you.
So as a point of order, I would
answers. Yeah.
have the move,
Okay.
the motion, the second, have conversation, and then go to vote.
Okay. So a motion, sorry, the way it's, I've got my agenda printed out. It's harder to, I don't have the A and B separate here. So a motion to approve resolution, okay, so 10-20 establishing the tax rate. Do I have a motion?
So moved. It's Sophia.
Okay. And is there a second?
Second, Lisette.
Thank you, Lizette. So that establishes the tax rate. My question, I'm not sure exactly if my question falls under the tax rate or authorizing the issuance. I think it probably bridges both. Because of the volatility of the market, certainly we're looking at whichever best type of offer that reduces the repayment burden in the long run. That is understood. Given the volatility, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but are we better locking this in right now? Or if we were to wait to August till things stabilize, you know, just noticing that the property values did continue to go down, or at least increase at a lower rate, if that's correct, after 2008 till it recovered in 2014, looking at the assessed values. Are there any other indicators that things would still be going down in the next few months, where if we locked it in August, it would be a better value to the district?
Yeah, so a couple of things there. We are, you know, even with the current schedule, we're not going to be pricing until June. So hopefully we'll get some more information about what the market looks like. Even compared to the beginning of April to now, the market has settled down quite a bit. We'll look at what the market situation is like as we get into May and June. If the market is still very volatile, this resolution gives the flexibility for district staff to decide to hold off on pricing until the market is a little bit more stable. But right now, I don't have the crystal ball. I'm hoping that by June, the market will be pretty good for municipal issuers like yourself. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, the assessed value information coming out this August is actually as of January of 2020. And so I am not sure that we'll see the full impact of the coronavirus situation even this August. It's likely that we might see, if we do see a dip in AV, that it might be next year or the year after.
Okay.
However, we are assuming some more conservative AV assumptions for this bond issuance, and that's partly with consulting with Jim Crawford, that he wanted to do that, which is consistent with some of the assumptions that the district is using on the general fund side. So we are assuming the more conservative AV assumptions when structuring the bonds. I hope that's helpful.
It is. No, the nugget in what you said was that even if things are really volatile in June, that the district has the ability to hold off for a couple of months so things seem a little better. So, we can, trust that, again, you have the best interest of the district in mind moving forward. And if we need to be flexible by a couple of months, we can.
Point of order question, do we want to just formally?
I couldn't hear your question.
To approve. Point of order, do we want to take a motion to approve the second resolution as well so we can ask questions on both?
That. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 11-20 authorizing the issuance and sale of the bonds?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
And do we have other questions about the either part?
I'm gonna try. Let me know if the audio cuts out and I can see if I can figure out how to make a chat publicly as well and read it. But I want to thank Sean and Jesus and the team for bringing this to us. I think the timing, from my view, makes a lot of sense in terms of our being ready to spend some money on these two priority projects in particular that we have at Fairlawn View and El Granada, and keep things moving there. My assumption is that with the weakness in the stock market right now, the timing is good from an interest rate perspective, generally speaking, and having that flexibility, over the next couple months will allow you to kind of pinpoint the day when you see through that volatility. Have a good day. That's good. And also, I think we're in a place right now where our general fund is certified in the world economy, not taking for granted that our budget may change in the near future, I think is helpful too. So wanted to say that. So thank you. It makes sense, all that you presented. And also thank you for presenting that context to us. I think that's very helpful to hear that summary around where the levers are, where the options are for how we proceed on this. I also want to thank you, didn't present this, but it was I think in the memo up front to these items, there was a really nice table there that outlined the amount that will appear, or the estimated amount that will appear on tax bills from the various bond measures that we have. And I think that helps clarify for us as well as for the public where these different line items are coming from on their tax bill each year. So that's really, really helpful information that I think is worth noting. I don't have any other questions. I think everything was straightforward, but just wanted to make those comments. Did everything together? What I can take away here?
Thank you, Sophia. Hearing no other questions, I think we're ready to go through this. This will be a roll call vote. And again, I don't have my list, but we'll go through. Freya?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Sophia?
Aye.
Lizette?
Aye.
And I for me.
Point of order, that was approving resolution 1020.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and now you'll do a roll call vote on 1120.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so, was there another comment? Okay. So for resolution 11-20, authorizing the issuance and sale of the bonds, Freya?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Sophia?
Aye.
Lizette?
Aye.
And I for me. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Makiko, for your expertise in helping us through this over the years.
You're very welcome.
So next up is approval of amendment to the March 2017 Boys and Girls Club Memorandum of Understanding and the BGCC-Cabrillo Unified School District Compact to preserve Cunha Intermediate School after-school sports. And Rosie, I do see I was able to pull up the Excel sheet. I found it. Do I then just read these comments?
Please.
Okay. So these are the comments from the public. The first one is, my name is Betsy Del Piero. I am a board member for the Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side. I'm very excited to support the partnership between Cabrillo Unified School District and the Boys and Girls Club because I see the great potential for this program to move forward and become increasingly vibrant under this new leadership. I have seen the talent and abilities, the decision-making processes and wisdom and the valuable connections in our community and beyond. Of my fellow board members, and I have full confidence in our abilities to direct the efforts needed to continue this program effectively. I am encouraged with the great leadership of the current program staff, coaches, teachers, and school administrators who will help to facilitate a smooth transition. I also have faith in our local community of parents, businesses, and dedicated individuals who see the importance of a solid sports education at the middle school level to continue to lend their support and resources as we work together on this ongoing project and partnership. I base my opinion on the observations and experiences I have had in my 22 years as a local business owner and 27-year resident in this community. Thank you. And the next comment. I'm Vice President of the Coastside Boys and Girls Club. We have spent several months undertaking our due diligence and feel we would be the ideal partner to the district to take exceptional care of the Cunha after-school athletics. And the final comment. Board leaders, tonight on your agenda is an amendment to the MOU between CUSD and Boys and Girls Club of the Coastside. CUSD and Boys and Girls Club have a long relationship of partnering to both build and maintain facilities and to provide programming for young people in our communities. The documents before you today are a result of months of collaboration between staff at our two organizations, and I'm very excited for this next step. I am watching the meeting tonight and will be available for any questions. Sorry if I missed a name on columns, but that's what I see. So, do I have, Sean, do you want to talk to this first?
I just want to say we've been talking about this a long time, and I think everyone recognizes the that the Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side are instrumental, super valuable partners to the district. We're not going to read the resolution tonight, but it hopefully represents the fact that millions upon millions of dollars have been donated and contributed by benefactors to the club and by the club. And the event center, the soccer fields, it goes on and on at the high school, at Cunha Intermediate School. I've had the great pleasure of working with the executive director and the president and the members of the board to present to them when we were in budget crisis. And they knew the need, they recognized the need. And they've worked so hard with the Cunha Intermediate School principal, with their athletic director, Mr. Lugo, with their boosters club. This has just really been a lot of due diligence, particularly by Jill Jacobson. I have to give her a lot of credit for this. And so when they brought to us an MOU, then we fashioned that. It really represents a lot of work on their part. And I just think it's a testament to their dedication and commitment to the youth of the Coast Side. And I also want to just say to the board members' point that you just read, we do think that this will lead to a stronger Boys and Girls Club and stronger after school opportunities for Cunha Intermediate students, not just for athletics, but also for academic enrichment and for cultural enrichment. It's just a super exciting thing. We are so grateful for Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side.
Thank you, Sean. Do I have a motion to approve the amendment to the March 2017 Boys and Girls Club Memorandum of Understanding and the Boys and Girls Club CUSD Compact to preserve Cunha Intermediate School after-school sports?
So
moved.
This is Lizette.
It's Lizette. Let Lizette go.
Thank you, Lizette. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Mary Beth.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to also say thank you to Jill Jacobson, who presented and gave us the news of the forthcoming agreement last month. She stayed late to actually speak on our agenda, and so I really appreciate her participation at that, and I see that she's online tonight as well. I think this is a fabulous agreement and such a benefit to our students, and such a reflection of collaboration across our community. So thank you very much.
Kim, I just wanted to echo yours and Sean's comments in terms of the thanking the Boys and Girls Club for their past support and collaboration with the district. They've been, great supporters of the children that they've educated and worked with, of course, but also just of the district and the different facilities, the soccer facility, the event center. And I'm very excited about this next chapter of collaboration. So I'm really, really excited that this was able to work. And I truly do understand the value of the Cunha sports program. And I'm glad that we were able to keep it going and make it stronger and kind of forge this continued relationship. So thank you to everybody for all your hard work and making it happen, and look forward to hearing about how it goes in the future. So thank you so much.
This is Sophia. I'll just add again, kind of how exciting it is to see this partnership take the next step into the next level, and just I think it is really serves as a model for the collaboration between our community and our district, our schools, all with the same common goal of educating and growing our, the whole children that live in this community, and all of them, every last one of them in different ways. So this is just tremendous, and it's exciting, and just have seen the partnership on both sides really wholeheartedly move forward in that direction. And a lot of give and take, and that's what partnership is all about. I think it's a model for more great things to come. So thank you to all parties, Jill and Sean in particular, but all who were involved, Virginia and others on the board, Boys and Girls Club, and all the folks that are making it happen. So and special thanks to also Mr. Lugo and others, Mr. Barnes, are making it happen as well. So
thank you, Sophia. Okay. All in favor of approving the amendment to March 2017 Boys and Girls Club Memorandum of Understanding and the Boys and Girls Club Cabrillo Unified School District Compact to preserve Cunha Intermediate School after school sports? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you to everybody. Aye.
Motion passes.
Again, thank you to the president of the board for the Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side, Virginia Perry, to the executive director, Jill Jacobson, to Kevin Kelly, who worked tirelessly on this also, to Ed Watkins, former employee, thank you so much too, for all the members of the board, for all the Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, 13O, adoption of resolution number 11-20, designating a certain public works as essential government function.
Let me jump in and just frame this real quickly. We won't read the resolution. Basically, block construction is finishing up the construction of the Hatch Elementary School, and they did ask us for a resolution to designate this as an essential government function, and as a governmental agency, governmental body, the Board of Trustees may list this, and so we are asking and recommending that you do so that block construction can work freely and safely and legally on that project.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 11-20, designating a certain public works as an essential government function?
So moved.
Thank you, Sophia. Do I have a second?
Well, real quick, just a point of order. I think that we already have a resolution 11-20. Do we need to have an amendment to make that 12-20? In M?
Oh, I didn't know that the two were joined.
No, they're just the same number. Does that matter?
Yeah, it should be 12.
Okay. Good catch, Freya. Thank you.
Sorry, I think it's because there was two in that one, so it was confusing.
Yeah. Thank you for catching that.
So a motion.
So a motion to couple it.
Number 12-20.
Edit, pardon?
Number 12-20.
Right. Yes. Adoption of resolution number 12-20. And we had a first.
So we're waiting for a second.
I'm sorry, I lost track of who was the first motion and who was the second.
I was the
Who was
first.
the first? And do I have a second?
Yeah, I can second.
Okay, thank you, Freya. Any questions or discussion?
Let's move on.
Awesome.
Let's get this project rolling. We'll keep it rolling.
Sounds good. This is a resolution, so this will be a roll call vote. Mary Beth?
Aye.
Freya?
Aye.
Sophia?
Aye.
Lizette?
Aye.
And I for me. Motion passes.
Point of order, do we want to check in with Lauren? Or do we not do that on resolution?
I didn't know, I'm sorry, I forgot if Lauren votes on resolutions.
Lauren left the meeting.
Okay.
Thanks for checking. I didn't see her on the screen, so thank you. So motion passes. We return now to the top of section 13. We go to 13A. Adoption of proclamation endorsing April as National Autism Awareness Month. Sean.
Actually, Dr. Wade helped draft this proclamation last year, I believe, and it is presented by her, and it's been bolstered this year, and I appreciate Dr. Wade's deep appreciation for our need to accept and appreciate neurodiversity and students and community members on the spectrum. Dr. Wade, do you want to say anything about this?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to bring this back to the board every April to think about how we honor and support our students on the spectrum each and every day, not just during April. So just wanted to put this back in front of the board and appreciate your support. Thank you.
And I'll just again say this is the month that we appreciate and show awareness, acceptance, and love for all community members and all children and all people on the spectrum. And I think we say light it up blue in memory or in recognition of that. And so it's great to have awareness like this.
Do I have a motion to adopt the proclamation endorsing April as National Autism Awareness Month?
So moved, Lisette.
Thank you, Lizette. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I think we have Freya there.
Oh yeah, I said it, but I didn't know if
Okay.
someone else was. It's hard.
Yes. Any other comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment.
I think this is a roll call vote, isn't it?
Proclamation?
I don't think it's a resolution.
It is a
It's a proclamation. It's a proclamation and we need the roll call.
Thank you.
I just real quick wanted to make a comment. I was happy to see this come up again. I've been reading a book, Neurotribes, The Legacy of Autism and the Future of Neurodiversity. It's an absolutely wonderful history of autism, looking back from before it was even diagnosed to people in history that we think maybe had it, including all the different discoveries of it, and then current kind of treatments and looking at different things. And I'm in the middle of it. It's about a 500-page book, but it's just been really fascinating. So it was really wonderful to have this come up at the same time. I highly recommend it if anyone's interested in the topic.
I just wanted to add, it's Sophia here. Thank you for bringing this to us. I know it's slightly awkward to have these proclamations when we know we can't be together in our school campuses to really show the acceptance and the celebration of this in this aspect of diversity. But I think it's important that we keep doing it and honor it. And as you said, Sean, to just recognize this is kind of a reminder, but it's really an everyday thing. Along all the different parameters of diversity that we have, that we've got to just keep recognizing it as a first step and accepting it and honoring and really seeing it as a strength. I feel that's definitely momentum that's growing in our schools and in our community, and I appreciate everything that Holly, you've done to really drive that in your role and with your team and with our schools, and to really influence us in that very positive direction. And Sean as well as a more recent addition to the crew, but I think that can't be understated enough, that we see the differences that we have amongst us as adults, as kids, as really something that makes people special and that are strengths, and we've got to kind of work with and support everybody uniquely.
Thank you. As this is a roll call vote, Freya?
So thank you.
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Sophia?
Aye.
Lizette?
Aye.
And aye for me. Motion passes. Next up is 13B, Adoption of Social Studies Curriculum for Cunha.
Hi, good evening, President Hines, trustees, Dr. McFetrich, team and community. I'm here today to present to you 4 board items, 13B through E. And I wanted to, because they do have a process in place A new process this year at Cabrillo, we formed a curriculum advisory committee, and we have asked all of our schools whether it is a new curriculum, a curriculum adoption as per the California Department of Education, or even new courses, to go through two committees in our district. We have two formed, one elementary and one secondary, in order for us to have a larger body of people really taking a look at the holistic process of adoptions. Through this committee, we have aligned our adoptions through the 8-year cycle that the California Department of Ed publishes. This year, we're actually a little bit behind because last year most districts, 20 out of the 22 districts in San Mateo County started a science adoption process. And we were lucky to be working with the coordinator of science at San Mateo County Office of Education, and he helped K through secondary, K through 12, lead us in a validated adoption process. We were lucky that before our coronavirus and remote learning transition to have fully piloted the secondary science. Unfortunately, at this time, we had to put a pause on the adoption for elementary science, and we'll have to wait until our students are back in the classroom in order for us to proceed that for next year. And we'll go ahead and start. So this year, next year, the state is engaging districts and local education agencies with a social studies adoption. And then I'll go ahead and start. So that background knowledge, I wanted to let you know that all items, all of these 4 items, 13B, C, D, and E, have already been vetted by a team of educational leaders and curriculum experts from Cabrillo Unified School District. So with all of these adoptions, and this is a new board meeting format for us, typically we will have our site leaders who actually had spent multiple days and hours in planning and adopting this new curriculum. They unfortunately are not able to be here, but they did provide a written blurb for me to read out to you. So we'll go ahead and start with the adoption of social studies curricula for Cunha. Mr. David Papp, Principal James Barnes, and our Cunha History Social Science Department requests us to adopt a social studies curriculum for Cunha Elementary School, intermediate school, beginning 2020-2021. And this team spent 2 years looking at different science, history, social science curriculum, and they have decided that the Teachers Curriculum Institute, History Alive, provides the best edition for our pilot. And they listed out 5 different areas of why they feel it's the most, it is crucial for us to engage in this adoption. One, it's been about 15 years since we've last had a history social studies adoption. Even this, as we do every summer when we upgrade curriculum, the textbook is out of publish at this time, and we're not able to even purchase the old textbook. The second item is that this has a new suite of technology which allows for online access to text, adjust reading levels, as well as conversation into Spanish. This supports not only our newcomer students that arrive to us in our intermediate school, but also supports our dual immersion pathway. It also gives classes a flexibility to differentiate instruction and meet the needs of English learners and any students with learning disabilities. The suite of technology allows history social science teachers to publish assessments and assignments for completion on a computer as well as hard copy. And in particularly, as we are engaging in remote learning, it offers a large suite of resources and technology that can easily adapt to remote learning, online learning, as well as in person. And so our history social science department at Cunha Elementary, as well as Mr. Barnes and myself, we asked the Board of Trustees to approve this adoption. And
sorry. Do I have a motion to adopt the social studies curriculum for Cunha?
I'll move. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. Discussion or comments?
I've got a comment, and I have a question. I just think that is so cool that the reading level can adjust. So, you know, those kids that even aren't up to reading level, that they can still get the information. I think that's amazing. It's hard for me to talk with my hands when I'm on the screen. I think it's amazing. They're out here flying around. You guys can't see them. But I just think that's so cool. And also that you can get it in Spanish. If you can't speak English very well, you can still learn the material. So I think that's super cool. I like that there's so much online options, especially in this time, and that you kind of have the choice. I think that's great. My question is, in this cost, you know how the kids now, they have one book at school and one at home. Does it include 2 textbooks for each kid?
Let me look.
And then, I mean, I guess going along with that, if it does, like, there are kids that do have online access. Maybe those kids don't need a textbook at home. So that was just my thought.
I can get that answer to you later. I do know that they ordered extra textbooks in the classroom for those students that may need, and that's what we always do. We order extra textbooks for students that may need that hard copy at home. But the team did mention that the ability to have the access to the textbook online will allow us to have less number of actual hard textbooks for us to purchase. But I don't think we're buying double hard textbooks.
Okay, great.
But we did order a few extra per class, but I will double check and I can get back to you on that.
Great, thank you. I mean, that online stuff, I guess, cuts down on having to get so many textbooks. So I think that's great. Okay, sorry, Sophia.
Oh, no, I just want to echo your comments, Mary Beth, about like how cool it is that you can adjust the reading level, and you can also look at it in Spanish, both for potential use in an immersion setting, as well as for students and or, support that is more comfortable in that. So again, as with the earlier infrastructure approvals of the copiers and the phones, to see us modernizing our curriculum and the 3 additional items that you have coming to us. And I'm also so incredibly grateful you pulled this off before coronavirus, because it's like, whoo, you got it just in the nick of time. And I'm, of course, disappointed. We have the gap of the elementary science you mentioned, but to have these 4 pieces, bam, 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 bam in place, ready to go, presumably for next year, is phenomenal. So thank you to you and Mr. Papp and Mr. Barnes and everybody that made this particular piece happen.
Thank you.
I just want to add, I mean, this is great for English learners. It's also great for Spanish learners. It's great for the immersion pathway as we have students who are learning multiple languages come up through the grades.
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor of adopting the social studies curriculum for Cunha, say aye.
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 I heard everybody there. Any opposed? Motion passes. 13C.
Now, this is one of 2 science adoptions. And we had Hannah Carney, along with the support of Andrew, our assistant principal, Andrew Boyston, and our science department. We had the entire science department at Half Moon Bay High School take a look at holistically all of the science curriculum. And although, as we know, we can't, if we were if money was not a question, we may be able to upgrade all the science materials and all curriculum at the high school. But because we are being cautious about the amount of money that we're spending, our science department and did take a look and work collaboratively with all the science teachers to determine what are the subjects that are the oldest and are in need of an upgrade in regards to adoptions. And the agricultural department was one of them. Hannah Carney also did pilot and engage in a full science adoption process, and she has written something that I would like to share with you. The agricultural department at Half Moon Bay High School is requesting the adoption of new agriculture science textbooks for the 2020-2021 school year. There is a range of supplemental textbooks currently in use for all agriculture classes that are all extremely out of date. According to the Half Moon Bay High School list of board-approved textbooks, there is no official adopted textbook from Cabrillo Unified School District. In 2017, the State Board of Education adopted instructional materials based on the Next Generation Science Standards. Our current textbook is not structured for student learning based on these standards, nor does it contain updated science content. And Cabrillo Unified School District is required to use instructional materials based on the approved standards. In addition, because there were no official CUSD adopted textbooks for any classes in the Ag department, there is a wide range of inconsistency and lack of resources available to students in any agriculture CTE class. There are some online supplemental resources available. However, there's an equity gap for students to access those resources outside of class. Agriculture teachers at Half Moon Bay High School, Hannah Carney and Brianna Kamazi, spent time evaluating 4 different types of curriculum based on presentations from publishers. Subsequently, 2 curricula were chosen for further evaluation, and the Pearson Conceptual Integrated Science text was chosen as the best fit for teachers and our student population. This adoption will impact approximately 150 students in grades 9 through 12 each year within our CTE program at Half Moon Bay High School. Students will have access to both the paper and online texts, and teachers have access to supplemental materials, including videos, activities, and self-directed quizzes that they can incorporate into instruction. This will be a key component to improving our agriculture CTE program to include a more updated and interactive technical science curriculum that the department has been lacking. With board approval, we can improve student education and prepare them for career readiness through agriculture science curriculum. And the hardest part about our agriculture science courses is that in ag and in these courses, we teach more integrated science than content specific. And this request for the adoption of this particular curricula, it has an integrated approach to teaching science. And so in the past, in regards to the fiscal piece, I did want to point out that although we will be using our LCFF base in our textbook fund, we can use these as a match grant when we're applying for CTE, because through CTE, we do have to set aside a certain percentage to match out of general fund, and we could include this as part of that match grant. So we do ask the Board of Trustees to approve our ag curriculum for a 6-year adoption. And similar to our history, social science, we, and all of these adoptions, our educators at the site are very much aware that there is an equity gap in regards to technology. And we were able and to select textbooks that have both a technical component and online resources, as well as access to online textbook, as well as a hard textbook. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that overview. Do I have a motion to approve the agriculture science curriculum for Half Moon Bay High School?
So moved.
Thank you, Freya. Do I have a second?
Sophia, I'll second.
I think I heard Lizette at the same time.
go.
Sophia. So thanks. Comments, questions? I think it's awesome. I know you guys are doing a lot of heavy lifting on all these areas, and it's not easy to prioritize, but I appreciate the hard work that all of the science community at the high school, all of their efforts to help prioritize and notice what was missing and what was behind.
It's great. Thank you. Same as earlier.
Awesome.
It's great to modernize, especially a lot has changed in agricultural science. Obviously in science is a very, they're all highly changing areas and quickly evolving. So to have something up to date, particularly in the CTE pathway, is awesome. So thank you to everybody that made this.
All in favor of approving the agriculture science curriculum for Half Moon Bay High School, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is 13D, approval of biology curriculum for Half Moon Bay High School.
Thank you. And so through this engagement of adoption, we worked with Dr. Tracy Yerby, Assistant Principal Andy Boyson, as well as the Half Moon Bay High School Science Department. And I also have something I'd like to share from Dr. Yerby. The Science Department at Half Moon Bay High School is requesting the adoption of new biology textbooks for the 2020-2021 school year. The textbook currently in use for biology classes was adopted by Cabrillo Unified School District in 2005. In 2017, the State Board of Education adopted instructional materials based on the Next Generation Science Standards. The current textbook is not structured for student learning based on the standards, nor does it contain updated science content. In addition, because the published date of our current text is over 13 years old, students can no longer access the text online, and there are no supplemental materials available. Biology teachers at Half Moon Bay High School, Joseph Santoni, Tracy Yerby, spent time evaluating 4 different types of curriculum based on presentations from publishers. The Pearson biology text was chosen as the best fit for teachers and our student population. This adoption will impact approximately 250 students each year in grades 9 through 12 at Half Moon Bay High School. Students will have access to both the paper and online text to maintain equity for those students without internet access outside of school. The new textbooks include updated science content, example climate change, case studies that provide contextual information, and career profiles in science. Teachers will also have access to supplemental materials, including videos, activities, and self-directed quizzes that they can incorporate it into instruction. And we recommend our Cabrillo Unified School District Board of Trustees to approve this 8-year adoption of Pearson Biology for implementation at Half Moon Bay High School beginning 2020-2021 academic school year and ending 2027-2028 academic school year. And at that time, we would look at the new recommendation of adoptions for science.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion to approve the biology curriculum for Half Moon Bay High School?
So moved, Lisette.
I'm going to take Lizette as the motion and Mary Beth as the second.
Yep.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I've got a question. This curriculum I know is going to be going for 8 years, and in the world of science, that's sometimes that's a pretty long time. Do they do any kind of updating on that if things change throughout that 8-year period? Do you know?
Typically, no. Typically, an adoption is static. However, in this whole online transition to hybrid models of an actual physical textbook and online textbooks, that we may see that process change. However, it's a little challenging because the California Department of Education engages in about 1.5 years worth of engagement with families, with teachers, experts to create the curriculum and content. So it's very difficult to change content without it going through that same process through the California Department of Ed. And that's why I've never seen it change. Doesn't mean that it may not change in the future, but typically it's static until we engage in another adoption. Of course, if there's like a blatant error in the science field, I'm sure that the publishers and California Department of Ed might have to amend certain language.
Okay.
Sophia, I'll just add a comment that it is so exciting that we're updating this curriculum. It's 15 years old. We were like in biotech central, one of the biotech centers of the world. And so while it's not officially a CTE pathway, I get that, but the importance of having an up-to-date biology curriculum, I realized over the years, for sure by the end of the term, it's going to be not 15 years still, which is cool. So to have this, particularly in the geographic area where we live, I think presents our students with, tremendous opportunities, not only from the general science education perspective and all that, the critical thinking and so on that brings, but specifically around the industry, which a couple of us know pretty well here, to have those opportunities opened up for our students is awesome. So thank you, Dr. Yerby, and Mr. Boysen and you, Leticia, and everybody that brought this forth as well. Very cool.
Thank you.
All in favor of approving the biology curriculum for Half Moon Bay High School, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The next item is 13E, approval of Spanish for Spanish speakers 3 for Half Moon Bay High School.
Thank you. And so also have a little something to read on behalf of our World Language Department Chair, Ms. Vanessa Stubbs, Mr. Boysen, and the Half Moon Bay High School language team have written this introduction to request adding a 3rd course of Spanish for Spanish speakers at Half Moon Bay High School. Good evening to the CUSD Board of Education. During the 2019-2020 academic year, Spanish language teachers from Cunha Intermediate and Half Moon Bay High School have met with Joyce Hodge, the Spanish Immersion Parent Association Collaboration Coordinator, and Leticia Batia of CUSD. The purpose of these coordinated meetings has been to support the California Education for a Global Economy initiative, which was approved by California voters in 2016. Including in this initiative is a Global 2030 initiative, which is designed to increase the teaching of world languages and the number of bilingual and multilingual students over the next 10 years. The mission of the California Department of Education through the Global 2030 initiative is, quote, to equip students with world language skills to better appreciate and more fully engage with a rich and diverse mixture of cultures, heritages, and languages found in California and the world, while also preparing them to succeed in the global economy. Through our efforts to improve the effectiveness of our language immersion program, we have recognized there is a need to create a new Spanish for Spanish Speakers 3 class at Half Moon Bay High School. The addition of this course signifies that all students who have taken dual immersion Spanish or whose primary language is Spanish will automatically place into Spanish for Spanish Speakers 1. There will be a new placement test for freshman students who believe they have enough experience and skill with Spanish language to test into Spanish for Spanish Speakers 2 instead of taking Spanish for Spanish Speakers 1 during freshman year. The inclusion of the Spanish for Spanish Speakers 3 class will allow students to take a language course for all 4 years of high school. This will reduce the number of students who have a gap of years without language instruction. It will be highly beneficial to these students as consistent practice is a key element in acquiring language skills and maintaining language proficiency. Thank you for your time, Vanessa Stubbs. And so, again, I'm just very impressed by just the collaboration of all our teachers through all of these processes. And I wanted to give you a little background of what Spanish, the pathway previous, the dual immersion pathway was extremely well defined K through 8. Now, when we had our 8th graders from the dual immersion pathway enter into high school freshman year, you sometimes had students, well, every student would take a placement test. Sometimes, as we have different learning patterns for all students, no matter content areas, you have a group of students who may not have been able to pass this language test. Some of them were placed into a Spanish 1 class, which is extremely basic language skills, and they would get kicked off or temporarily pushed to the side of a dual immersion pathway. And for this reason, what the team basically is suggesting, because in previous years, there was a Spanish for Spanish 1, typically freshman year, Spanish for Spanish 2, sophomore year, and then some AP courses, junior and senior year. Now, the suggestion is to create Spanish for Spanish speakers 3 and push that curriculum and content. So Spanish for Spanish speakers 3 will use this old Spanish for Spanish speakers 2 curriculum, and then the Spanish for Spanish speakers 2 will then absorb the Spanish for Spanish speakers 1 curriculum. And that way, every single child that has been engaged in our dual immersion program for the 9 years will enter a Spanish for Spanish speakers 1. And that is the work that our teachers are willing to develop into developing that curriculum so that we can continue to strengthen the language base. Because now we're really delving into Spanish academic content, like reading Don Quixote, which is very dense. That's something that if a child that's been in this dual immersion program enters a Spanish 1 class, they're reading rojo, verde, right? They're reading very basic Spanish skills that it's not true of a K through 12 dual immersion program. And so we do, there will be a small fiscal impact because we will have to develop, our teachers will have to develop a Spanish, some curriculum for the new course. And we do recommend that in the spirit of growing and strengthening our dual immersion program, that the Board of Trustees approves the addition of this course.
Thank you so much for that overview. Do I have a motion to approve the Spanish for Spanish Speakers 3 for Half Moon Bay High School?
So moved. Mary Beth.
Do I have a second?
Second, Sophia.
Thanks, Sophia. Again, thank you. I know there's a lot of heavy lifting, and in this case, we're going to have teachers creating curriculum, but it's wonderful to have this pathway to build on the investment where students have been in the immersion program. And I was delighted when I read the description that students from Spanish-speaking households who may not have been through immersion can access this curriculum. I think that's so important. I know that's been a frustration even at the elementary level. If a child moves to the district in 4th grade, they didn't have access. So I'm thrilled for Spanish-speaking households, those students that are able to participate. Other comments or questions?
Sophia, I just want to also thank you for this, Leticia and everybody that brought this together. It makes so much sense to basically, if I'm understanding correctly, Leticia, so that basically with this change, all incoming freshmen from the immersion program would go into Spanish for Spanish speakers 1, and then they'd have room for 2 and 3 and 4, I guess, at the end?
Yeah, so okay. A typical child that's been in our dual immersion program from 8th to 9th, previously everyone would have to take a test, and right. Some pass and some wouldn't. And then like Trustee Hines mentioned, a couple of things would happen. They would get placed into a non-dual immersion class, which is a Spanish 1 or Spanish 2, which is or teaching basic concepts of Spanish, or they yes. So it definitely will support that, Sophia.
Okay, no, I think that's really great. That makes so much sense. I guess just thinking too, like for the kids that are already in the high school now, is there a way, like, would they slot into this new pathway too, or is it kind of like they started at the wrong, they started
Yes,
involved into the boat?
So it would start off with a freshman cohort next year, and
Okay.
we have to sunset the programs starting next year. So this is only affecting incoming 8th graders, and by 4 years the program will be aligned, unfortunately, because it just would have been very difficult with a master schedule to do this. However, it will serve, Trustee Lane, it will serve and support every single dual immersion student to continue the pathway until they graduate. Versus the old model, some of the students will be sidetracked because of a test.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other thing I wanted to point out is that if students, whether they're coming from another school or already have very strong Spanish skills, they are students will be able to take a placement test if they feel that Spanish for Spanish speakers 1 is too low. If they take a test and pass it, they could skip Spanish for Spanish speakers 1 and enter Spanish for Spanish speakers 2. And this way, everybody will either during their senior year or their junior year will be able to access an AP Spanish course, which is one of the requirements to receive the State Seal of Biliteracy, one of the ways to receive the State Seal of Biliteracy when our students graduate.
Okay, that makes sense. So that basically you'll take a year to develop the curriculum, and so incoming. So this will be put in place not this fall, but the following. Is that right?
This fall.
Like
this fall.
This fall. So incoming freshmen. Okay, okay. Then I misheard. So current 8th graders, incoming freshmen, that's fast to develop all that work. That's great. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's awesome, but clearly it's not something new. That's been in the works, so that's really great to be able to move that quickly to make that happen, along with the other curriculum changes. So that's fantastic.
But I do have to give kudos to our Spanish Immersion Parent Advisory Committee, who hired Joyce Hodge as a coordinator for dual immersion, and also our teachers that they have in the past already met with K through 12 dual immersion teachers to talk about the need. And so this is very exciting. I actually started in public education teaching dual immersion. I'm a firm believer of giving our students the opportunity to develop a second language or a third, shall they choose. And so it's very exciting to see this.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, again from the career perspective, to have bilingual students, and from the world perspective, that bicultural students emerging from our program and making that easier, it's awesome. And so I wanted to comment on that for the social studies piece earlier too. I think there's definitely a career aspect there too, but to have a modern social studies curriculum, just going back to that earlier item, I think also is so tremendous in terms of how we're supporting our students to be actively engaged, civically in our world as well, to understand the history and government and all that kind of stuff is awesome. So thank you for the Spanish track and removing that obstacle to kids being successful in this space.
Thank you.
I have this is Lisa. I have a question. I have actually two. One is, so I see that in the proposal it's a number of 29. Is there a minimum to have it open?
We definitely, I think it will be the estimation from the enrollment last year, the entire Spanish team was very confident with approximately 29 students. But of course, with any course, if we only have 5 students in a course, that's not something that we would have to we have to look at it again. Because overall, when we're looking at enrollment, we definitely look at the number of students enrolled in a class. However, as I mentioned, these are conversations that we've been having over the past 6-7 months. And the enrollment, the teachers are very confident that it will be approximately the size of one class, 29 to 35-ish.
And I know the cost was a stipend. Is this only for prepping or is also for teaching?
The stipend is basically to develop the curriculum over the summer. The teacher that will be taking on this new course, all of them were willing that should they be the selected teacher, they are willing to take some time in the summer to develop the content. And so it will be a stipend. And typically, I mean, we don't know exactly how much in the past, we've developed newcomer curriculum and it's been about an average of $5,000 approximately.
So are we talking about a whole new teacher or
Oh, it's a one-time. So it's not a teacher. It's basically the hours it'll take. We're paying for the hours it'll take a teacher to develop the curriculum. We're not paying an extra section because the students are there. The students will be enrolled.
I get it.
It's the hourly pay. So they may take the summertime to, let's just say 100 hours, for 50 hours, possibly 100 hours. It's an approximation right now because we don't know. But when we talked about it, and I've supported in the past the development of new content for secondary courses, these singleton secondary courses, and it's about at an hourly pay of what we have about $5,000.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And thank you for all the work everyone's doing and updating the curriculum and just helping the kids get the best out of their education. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, so we, I'm sorry, let me, Trustee Cortez. So we estimated about 125 hours. And so that leads to about $5,000, take or add a little bit. Because of course we have never developed the curriculum. We don't know exactly what that entails, but we have very knowledgeable and skilled teachers that are able to use those skills and knowledge of the Spanish language to develop something that will support our students for Spanish Speakers 3.
Thank you.
Those in favor of approving the Spanish for Spanish Speakers 3 for Half Moon Bay High School development of this curriculum, say aye.
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 I think I heard unanimous there. Motion passes.
I want to recognize the work of Dr. Bhatia, of our practitioners, classroom practitioners, teachers, SIPA, and our administrators and so many others. And you did great work today in taking great steps for curriculum and instruction in the district. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is adoption of resolution number 8-20, declaring Certificated and Classified Employee Appreciation Week.
Good evening. This is my item. This is coming from our personnel department. Each year we appreciate our employees during the week of May 4th through the 8th. Our personnel department, Jason and his team, are working on virtual ways to once again appreciate our staff. And I know that we'll come up with something unique and wonderful, but we ask that you approve this resolution to honor our classified and certificated employees as we do each year.
Thank you for bringing that motion forward, Holly. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 8-20 declaring certificated and classified employee appreciation week?
So moved, Lisette.
Thank you, Lizette. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second.
Thank you, Freya. Comments?
Yes, please, let's do this. I think we
Absolutely.
appreciate everyone now more than ever. I'm it's just exciting. I think it is going to be kind of novel and creative to execute this in a meaningful way with the current remote learning model. But I think now more than ever, I think it's important that we show our huge appreciation for everything everyone does under quote unquote normal circumstances. But I think with the unprecedented current situation at hand and the uncertainties that the future will bring all of us, I think it's really exciting. And again, this is just the symbolic kind of demarcation of a week to celebrate, but really every day we ought to, and I think we do appreciate our educators, our teachers, our administrators, our food service, our custodians, our office staff, our paraprofessionals, every single of the 50 jobs probably we have in the district. So this is awesome, and let's do it.
Thank you for articulating that. I think we're in grand concurrence here. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 8-20 declaring certificated and classified employee appreciation week, say aye.
Kimberly, it's a resolution. We need a roll call.
Oh, thank you. Roll call. Freya.
Aye.
Mary Beth.
Aye.
I think she was muted, but I think she said aye.
Aye. Yep.
Sophia.
Aye.
Lizette.
Aye.
And aye for myself. Motion passes.
I think that is fabulous, and I don't think anyone has appreciated our staff more than in the past few weeks. Thank you to all of you, and thank you to our staff. And we will look forward to recognizing in May.
Thank you. And that brings us to 13G, adoption of resolution number 9-20, declaring substitute CBEST waiver.
Hello again. This is a resolution that we're bringing forward that requires a waiver for candidates who are substitute teachers who lack a CBEST examination. We need a waiver to approve those candidates to be substitutes. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing honors and recognizes that we're having a difficult time finding highly qualified substitute teachers. So they do allow for waivers for staff that have not taken and passed the CBEST. We asked for one waiver for the 2021 school year, and we attached this approved waiver with board approval to each candidate's file when they apply, if it is necessary. So we ask for a roll call vote for this resolution so that we may waive this CBEST requirement for substitute teachers.
You're muted.
Do I have a motion to approve adoption of resolution 9-20 declaring substitute CBEST waiver?
So moved, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. Do I have a second?
I'll second Mary Beth.
Thank you, Mary Beth. And as this is a resolution, this is a roll call. Freya.
Aye.
Mary Beth.
Aye.
Sophia.
Aye.
Lizette.
Aye.
Thank you. And for myself, aye. Motion passes. I want to first thank everybody who has been online through to the end. We've had a lot of participants hang on in this Zoom call that might not have necessarily stuck into the room if we had been going till 11 o'clock at night in our boardroom. So I want to just acknowledge everyone who's been sitting online. Thank you so much. Future board agenda items: overview of visual and performing arts program, a district budget review study session, approval of single plan for students' achievement, adoption of resolution for budgetary increases and transfer at year end, adoption of resolution appropriating ending balance to a reserve, and approval of Cabrillo Unified School District Governing Board policy updates and adopt the proposed revisions as recommended by the California School Boards Association. Our next board meeting is scheduled for May 14th. And this has district office boardroom. I'm assuming this is going to be a Zoom meeting in May.
I think we put the district office boardroom because when we had the organizational meeting, we probably scheduled it for that. And yes, I think this will probably wind up being a Zoom meeting, I would bet.
I would bet so too. So thank you, everybody. I know it was it's new and different doing it on Zoom, and many of us who are working, we use multiple platforms. So it takes a little bit of jockeying. So thank you for everyone's patience and for hanging in there with this board meeting. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting.
Motion. You just need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Freya. Do I have a second?
I'll second. It's the earliest one yet.
It is. All in favor say aye.
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 Good night. Be well. Stay safe.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.